Hey guys, good morning. It's a Crypto Cowboy. It's 20 minutes past 10 o'clock here, Chicago time, on the 6th of March. All right, let's take a look at the markets here and see where we are in terms of chart reviews. Bitcoin dollar on the green count. It's still, kind of struggling to break up higher in any significant way. And if you can see from this count, we are still looking at this as being a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And we came pretty darn close to our targets. We are at about 91.90, 91.85, depending on the platforms here. So I could consider this move done and just take this move and just kind of put it up here. If you look at this internals, and I'm going to go to a 10-minute chart for us to see it a little bit better. But if you look at this move here in this wave 5, we can see a 1, 2, 3, 4, very, very small overlap of 4 versus 1, which being such a small time frame, I'll give it, and Bitcoin, so it's not, I'm going to give it to the market, and then go in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for 5, and that should call a completion to this wave C of this larger B wave of the larger X wave. So if this is the top, if we have found a top in this correction, we have to start breaking lower below this fourth wave of a lesser degree. And that's why I kind of put the stops here on 9,000. I'm looking at this wave equality you can see here, and I'm going to do this so you guys can see also visually. I'm going to go time analysis of 4v2, and you can see how we've gone, very close to 161%, possibly just a little bit off of it. Let me just go to a 10 minutes and just kind of see where we are. We are at about 138% multiple, so still a fib number, and then we bounce back up higher, so just slightly longer than the wave 2. All right, so we could consider this move done. However, the move lower looks somewhat impulsive, not super convincing just yet, so we will need to see a 5-wave move lower here from the highs to start thinking that a major kind of corrective top has been reached, and we're about to roll over in this wave Y that should unfold as an A, B, and C. All right, so I think in terms of playing this, we've done all we could to kind of squeeze a C wave out of this. And if the market wants to turn from here and just go back up higher slightly more, the counts will change. But I just want to give the market that, just to allow that progression and not get out of the position until we're breaking down here. So I'm willing to take that risk. All right, so for me, the profits from this, what did we get in 88.30 to 9,000, they're fine. You don't want to get the last tick into the market, and if you've gotten out of this position, close near the highs, very good. We were very close to the target. If not, for me, this trade is complete, so I don't really care what happens going forward with it. If we get stopped out or if we just go back up higher, then I'm just going to continue to move the stops. So, all right, another way you could play this, or you could have played this if you didn't, is to just kind of take, let's say, half of a position up into these levels. As you're seeing a 5-wave move completion, for me, when I woke up, I already, kind of saw the move lower, so it's there's not much to do. But, you could take half of the position off as you're approaching your targets and then, work with the rest. So that's just a kind of trading suggestion. All right. So now let me change over to this count, which is, very similar to this. If it's an X, then both are pointing lower. This should unfold in an ABC for the second wave. And this one, still calls for a fourth wave. We are very close to invalidation here, 94.28, slightly higher. And if this turns out being a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then we run the risk of a much deeper decline into the B wave. All right, and just kind of go to a daily chart and look at that way. You could see, let me just go to a 6-hour, maybe a little bit better. All right, so you can see wave 1 up, and then if you do a 1, 2, 3, 4 for this wave, this doubles, this simple zigzag here, ABC, and then we're rolling over in a 5. Come to this wave 4 of a lesser degree, and then bounce in a B, and then do a C. This could extend a little bit lower, so then we're starting to threaten that 786 pullback of this whole move up here into the second wave. 618, it's at about 77.70, so that would be my first indication, or the first support that we would look for, and then the 786 lower. But just so you know, anytime you have a 5-wave impulsive move down, you're always running the risk of this being a second wave and not a B wave. All right, and that means that Bitcoin could break much lower. So it's not necessarily my preferred interpretation, but if it happens, we'll deal with it, right? So back to the green count, either a WXY or an ABC. To the red count here, still a possibility of this looking bullish. All right, so that's why I want to leave that position on and see what happens if we're not getting stopped out. If this is a flat where we have an ABC, although the move to the highs is in 5 waves, so it's hard to qualify it as a B wave. All right, so if we go 1, 2, then we have a 1, 2, 3, possible 4. So that's how I'm looking at this. Let me just decompose it as an impulse. So you do wave 1 down here, wave 2 down here, all right, wave 3, kind of complete it up into these highs, some kind of a 4th wave developing right now, maybe as a flat or I don't think it can be a zigzag, maybe as a triangle, right? You can do an A, B, C, D, E. Again, this move is in 5 waves, so it's a little bit tricky to count it that way. But for example, on this count, if you wanted to take advantage of it and you're still bullish on this, the only way you can get that to your advantage is if this is, and let me just go and take this wave count invalidation from there. So I would put it there, right? Because now if we're dropping as a 4th wave below this 88.63, which is the top of this wave 1, then this wave count becomes invalid. Until then, it's game on, and it could still be a valid count. So you could still allow for this move to correct, or here's what you can do. You can possibly get long on an approach of these levels, and then your stops would be very small, and you could take a chance for a 5th wave up into this 3rd wave orange towards 1618, and then look for a 4th wave of 5 to complete 1, and then so on and so forth. So just kind of one thing at a time. This would be some sort of a game plan kind of going forward. And you guys saw last night too when I cautioned and I said, hey, and that's why it's good to watch patterns, because and if you learn them, then you can identify them a little bit better. Because for example, this up here, I've said, okay, if we're coming lower, we're going to make a new high, and I think we barely did as a 5th wave required, short of being a truncation. But if you have a 3, 3, 5, that's a nice flat. Okay, so you're following the rules. You go up here towards 127, 138 of A, even 1618 of A, it's fine. Let's see exactly how much this B wave traveled. So this is just for learning, right? Alt B, and yeah, you went up to exactly 138.2% of this wave A, and then you came down to 161.8 multiple of this wave A. C versus A and B versus A required for this nice clean flat, and then you get a 5-wave move up. All right, so pay attention to these patterns because they are being displayed all over the markets, all over the time frames. Now, I'm not a big fan of the 15-minute time frame, but it was a nice, clear move where you can just take a very short-term trade up here and just look to overtake this wave B highs. You gotta look for a little bit of a reaction first, and you have to go to a 5-minute chart if you're trading, on a 15 for your, for your pattern recognition. If you're doing pattern recognition on a 15-minute chart, then you have to go to a 5-minute, even a 1-minute chart and look for impulsive moves to get you confirmation that you have actually found a wave, so you can have some kind of a stop, because you don't want to buy straight into these lows, because then you have no place to put the stops, and then if the market rolls over, you're going to get knocked over. So look for a little bit of an impulse in a smaller time frame here as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on a smaller time frame, and then get on the pullback. But you got to be very sharp and very quick, and just it's not necessarily something that I like to do unless I'm extremely bored and I just want to play around with some money. But I've done that stuff plenty of times before, and I'm not it's just too much. It's just emotional, and I like to look at the larger time frames and just let the trades develop. For me, it's just a better how should I say? I'm just more calm and just more relaxed when I trade on the larger time frames. Okay, all right. So let's take a look at the what's next here. Let's take a look at Ethereum, right? So remember, we've been monitoring this Ethereum count as being a triangle, and we were looking at these two legs as being, you know, possibly a D. So let's see, we've had an A, B, C, D, and E, and we were looking at these levels. If they're getting taken out, you know that the triangle will be probably a failure, and it's exactly what happened. We moved up higher, and still nothing convincing. You can see a 5-wave move up here in Ethereum, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if this is a very short X wave, you know, to kind of keep us still going onto this bearish count as part of an X wave, remember triangles can break both ways. So if this is still a very solid sideways movement that has a look of a triangle with a very long A wave, ABC, down here it's a complex. Basically you have a WXY. So you still have a 3-wave move required. You have a B up, you have a C down, and then you have a D up, and then you have a small E in a 3-wave as well. And now you're breaking up higher. So you're looking at leg A, triangle in B, up in C for an X wave, which is a 3-wave move. So this, and that. Okay, now is this C wave over? It's a little bit short compared with wave A, and let's see where that is in terms of fibs. So we've barely gone C versus A, you know, 50%. We've only traveled 50% in this wave C. So I would like to see a little bit more out of this, maybe a 618, even equality up here, which means that we would break up higher. So this continues to be completely valid, because if this is just one of C, all right, that's the risk that we're having. If this is just one of C and you're doing 2, then you have to do 3, 4, and 5, and that can shoot you over all the way to this 100% to 250. Okay, and that's the way this would look. This is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for 1. Then you're doing an A, B, C for 2, and there you're doing 3, 4, and 5, and then you complete a C wave, and then you drop lower. All right, so there is a possibility here that if we're getting a nice pullback here following this 5-wave breakout, to still play Ethereum on the long side by having stops below these lows here. You're buying this pullback in an ABC down, or if the move gets over at these levels here, right, that's about 232 to 33, and then you're looking to embark higher, but you got to risk this, okay, because this is what you're going to risk to make, you know, to try to make all the way up here. Okay, so it's still a, you know, 2 to 1, maybe 2.5 to 1 that you can get up into the 256 in Ethereum if these trades prove valid. If the market completely turns and I need to move this X wave down here, right, and then we're looking for an impulsive move lower, which doesn't look like that so far. You have like a little bit of an overlap, so it could be just a W or something. But I would look to start breaking below this E wave before I would start to initiate anything on the short side or get excited about short side, which is about this level down here, okay? Because then we're getting back into this triangle, and then that means that this would be a 1, you look for a 5-wave move, and then you sell a second for the move lower, okay? So I'm teaching you guys, even though I have this in the course too, but I'm teaching you guys live here a bunch of scenarios, because you don't always have to wait for me, you know, to trade this stuff. I want to give you, as I'm talking, you know, different opportunities if you want to trade on your own. You know, I choose different patterns, and maybe sometimes I'm not in front of the computer, and you know, I'm not going to monitor markets every single minute. I've got other things going on, and you know, I got kids and stuff like that, so I move around a lot. And plus you get really tired if you watch the markets all the time. But you know, I'm giving you ideas about what to do in certain situations when you start developing impulsive moves, and then you look at the corrections and you pick your entries and you control your risk. All right, and then on the bullish side, you know, I was posting that, I'm sorry, still on the Ethereum, I was posting that as being a 4th wave, but you can see I think we've traveled almost double. So if you have an ABC triangle, it's kind of the same structure, but instead of an X, you have a 4th wave, and then you're looking for a move lower in 5. So kind of same implication, just different labeling. And then on the bullish side, we were looking at this, okay, if this is a 2nd wave still, right, or a even a 2nd wave or a 4th wave. For a 4, it's a little bit bigger with this wave too, so let's just say that we are having this as part of a 2nd wave, like that, and then now we're embarking into this 1, 2, and then you have another 1, 2 up here, and now you're doing your move up, right? It's a 1, 2, or this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and you're starting to build a case for the upside, and then you keep going higher. So that's why I want to give this also the benefit of the doubt and see how this develops. If we're rolling over here, you know, things are gonna change, and we're gonna, we're going to dismiss this count. But until then, this is a bullish count that says that, we could actually be moving higher, not just in an X wave. Okay, and maybe I shouldn't be introducing this wave count to you until we're actually canceling an X wave possibility once we start breaking above these highs here. But until then it might be a little bit too late. So I wanted to, also inform you of this possibility into the count. All right. So all right, let's take a look also at some of the markets on the mix here and just see. I'm not sure how many of you guys are interested, but you guys know, we've watched gold. We did a nice entry here. Yesterday we're 1648. We got profits up here, and then we moved stops to break even on the breakouts this morning. This job number came in, and it's always kind of a little bit of a fireworks when this happens. So we did have a pretty sharp drop into the price of gold. Remember, I was talking about the retesting of this inverted head and shoulder, where you have head, the two right shoulders, and then a retest of this line, but the market came even lower. So maybe a safer stop would have been to put it down here, but it is what it is. It could be a nicer entry here now that you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and now you're doing an A, B, possibly C to re-enter gold, maybe down into these levels, and then just look for the next leg up higher. Okay, and then let's take a look at the stock market really quick at the S&P 500. We are bouncing just slightly. I was looking for this leg up higher here to extend a little bit more. I think I mentioned this in one of the updates. What if this is all it is for wave B? And I have to move this B and Y actually down here, and now we're breaking lower. So I'm still considering that. Other than that, this can be a W, and then this can be an ABC, an X, and we're still going up higher into this wave, and then breaking back, kind of down lower. So this one, it's a little bit tricky in terms of necessarily a stronger edge. We don't have that, and I'm going to let the market just do its thing, and then until the next better opportunity comes into the market again. Now on the breakout of the lows, I don't like to sell breakouts, but if this is embarking lower, I would still look to do, if this is a wave one lower, I would still look to sell some kind of a pullback here. All right, and then let's look at oil really quickly. Oil on daily, it is breaking lower. I think I'm still connected here. Yes, so we are at 40. This is on the daily chart. Remember, guys, we were watching this wave count for a long time, and I've said if this is a second wave and all we're getting, look down below, because this is going to get really, really messed up, and that's where we are. So, if you're still not convinced about Elliott wave, if you are just in a trial with my service, and you're learning about this stuff, I'm hoping that I can get this under your skin, and train you in a way that you can look at the markets, to take this lessons and examples and live market trading into your arsenal and use it for the rest of your trading career, because I think Elliott wave just has a very nice kind of look into the future, and explains the market movements in a more solid way. So I'll leave it at that, guys, and we'll take a look later, and we'll see where we are. But until then, have a nice trading day. Bye.